Hey, this is Bill Simmons from the Bill Simmons Podcast, here to tell you that Michelob Ultra, the official beer partner of the NBA, is bringing NBA fans closer than ever this season with chances to win great prizes, including courtside tickets. Enter now at michelobultra.com/courtside. Michelob Ultra courtside 25 to 26. No purchase necessary. Open to U.S. residents 21 plus. Begins on October 1st, 2025 and ends on June 30th, 2026. Multiple entry periods. See official rules at michelobultra.com/courtside for free entry deadlines, prizes, and details.
Welcome back to another edition of the Disney Dish podcast with Jim Hill. It's me, Len Testa, and we are live at the IAAPA convention in Orlando, Florida, here in mid-November. I'm joined by Mr. Jim Shull. Jim, how's it going?
I'm going to challenge that idea that we're here live. We just stepped off our first circuit of the show floor, and my dogs are screaming.
I wore sneakers today along with my business casual attire to save my feet. We're also here with Mr. Jim Hill. Jim, how's it going?
It's going well, but these gentlemen are correct. I mean, IAAPA is both a delight and an ordeal. I mean, just driving in today, dealing with the traffic, finding parking.
It was like going to a Disney theme park. There's something to see every 10 feet. And then the parking was a challenge. The thing that I love, though, and this is sort of my experience, it's different from you guys and for our listeners, being with Jim and Jim in IAAPA is like being in a world where there are no non-disclosure agreements. Like I'm walking with Jim, and I have to remind Jim Hill, like, Jim, you're not supposed to know this person. You can't be asking about their family or their Thanksgiving plans, because I'm standing with their assistant saying Jim Hill has never met this person before in their entire life. He just stalks them on Facebook. We're thinking about getting his medication changed. And Jim's over there like, oh yeah, the twins coming up from school. You go to the parents' lake house. Yeah. And then Jim Shull, every 10 minutes, somebody's like, oh, I worked with you on this project. Let me tell you about what we're doing. Yeah. Off the record, of course. Wink.
Well, that's what makes this IAAPA particularly interesting, is walking the show floor with Jim Shull and having people who he worked on. For example, the gentleman we were just talking with, who worked with you in Shanghai.
Yeah, Vitalis Wong, good friend, good man. Yeah, but that's the thing about Shanghai and, well, IAAPA actually, is that it works on multiple levels. On one hand, yes, it's a technological showcase for the vendors to sell product. On the other hand, it's an old home week for everyone who's worked together in the trenches to build your favorite rides, shows, and attractions. And they often work in parallel, but there's always a big dash of dipping dots. And
well, if you guys would stop, there'd be dipping dots.
Oh yeah, well, we have to hold something to keep you going. It's the carrot at the end of the stick.
All right.
I love that. One of the big things I love about IAAPA is that all of the major ride manufacturers are here. So we've seen Mack, we've seen Zamperla,
Pro Slide,
and in particular, Zamperla is already previewed. It's a simple sort of hanging, swinging seat ride, but the conceit of it is you're in a small two-person ride vehicle, but you flap your arms as if they're wings, and that's what makes the ride vehicle go up and down.
So listeners, what impressed me is it's a tower, which gives them a very short, small footprint for the ride to sit on. And you sit in a swing, as Len said, and there are sensors. And the sensors track your arm movement. And so as a result, when you flap your arms like a bird, then the ride responds. So it's interactive, but there's no buttons to push. You do something that's very natural, something that's intuitive.
And you would think something like, what are the technological innovations that you can make around a swing ride? And that's one of them. The other thing that was interesting there from Zamperla was they had done a heart-shaped two-track roller coaster. So the roller coaster track is in the vague shape of a Valentine's heart, and but you ride along it in a roller coaster, and you pivot to ride on the inside and then the outside top of the coaster. And Jim Shull, you had mentioned that this is great for theme parks with that needs small footprint of around 1,200 guests an hour for a thrilling coaster, right?
Yeah, that would be an anchor attraction for a very small tier 2, tier 3 theme park. But also carrying that idea further, what's so brilliant about the design of the track is it's stacked, which means it's not a spaghetti. A bowl of spaghetti spread over acres of land. It's very compact, and it gives you a high thrill. I'd say a family thrill. It's not, a death coaster. It's something that if you like a good thrill, this will give it to you, and it sits in a very small amount of land.
Oh, that's right. That reminds me that the the ride capacity is actually based on how many of those stacked tracks you want. Because I think the less expensive version is one time around, and it was like 800, 900 people an hour, and with 2 tracks it was 1,200.
Yeah, and 2 tracks will buy you a second train.
Yeah, second train. That's exactly.
If we could slide back to that flyer for a moment, what impressed me was, well, first of all, they've got it full size here on the floor.
Yeah, there's actually a demo running on the floor. And we're going to be able to ride it in an hour.
Okay, but the other thing that was intriguing about it is that you had your actual ride vehicles for it, but then they had the one where you could roll the wheelchair on.
I saw that, yeah. So it's handicap accessible, yeah.
And the notion that it's ADA compliance is built in from day one. And, but again, the Zamperla will do that.
And then we went over and saw Mack, and Mack's big announcement at IAAPA was a water-based coaster for Dollywood. It's a 10-person boat / ride vehicle. But Jim Shull, you were saying the interesting thing here is it's a coaster track, but it's also a floating boat. How does that work?
It is. What happens is this will be the second installation of this ride in the world. It'll be the first one in the United States, and it goes into Dollywood in a show building.
Entirely inside of the show building? Entirely
in a show building. So it's kind of a water ride, except it does one thing. It's anchored to a track. So occasionally it can come out of the track for areas and to go from one pool of water out of the water onto a track into the next pool of water. Now, the next pool of water is not just a pool of water, it's a rapids. So what that gives you the ability to do is you can have a gentle ride, then a little bit of a roller coaster effect moment, and then you can have a roaring, more of a turbulent, thrilling water coaster experience.
Right. And by the way, the name for what we saw today was Dollywood Night Flight Expedition.
Night Flight Expedition, yeah. So it's a 5.5 minute all indoor experience, water-based. Again, Dollywood's in the mountains. It gets cold. I get that. So Jim, for something like that, where Mack is putting that in, they said 1,200 people an hour. And again, that's, 10 people per ride vehicle, 5.5 minute experience. For something like that 1,200 people an hour is decent for a regional park like Dollywood, right?
It is. And it's also part of the math whenever you lay out a park or a land is you have to find balance. So this ride is going next to a roller coaster. Well, the people who don't want to go to roller coasters, they're going to want to go on this because it's a different experience. It's a more gentle experience, shall I say. But if you don't want to go on either one, they have some other little flat rides. And if you don't like rides, well, there's a shady tree where you can eat something and rest. So it's always getting that right mix of developing and designing any sort of a ride.
Yeah, this is the Pandora experience in Animal Kingdom, right? If you don't want to go on Flight of Passage, there's always Navi River Journey. But if you don't like water rides, have I shown you Satuli Canteen, where you can sit in the shade and eat something nice or walk around the land? So that's fantastic. Yeah. So what are you guys interested in seeing in the second half of the? Because we barely touched a fifth of the entire floor.
That's the thing. I mean, what's fascinating about IAAPA is, you literally get the latest and greatest. In fact, we stopped at what was it, Roller, and Roller was introducing an AI thing that was 2 weeks old, right?
Yeah, they had a product that Roller has an AI like theme park management business intelligence system, and so I was like, I like computer things. I was asking them about it, and every question I asked, the answer was, it's only been out 2 weeks. We're not really sure. I'm like, how does it integrate in the back end? You guys have like database connectors? Like, how does this, is it middleware? Like, it's been out for 2 weeks. We don't know. Yeah.
But you see a lot of that happen. That's why it's such a great place to come. We also walked by several vendors who look like they just got off the plane, unpacked their suitcases, set up their table.
From Shanghai or Guangzou or something.
And they were from Guangzhou, and some of them, we knew, and we go back and actually again going back to the social aspect of it. It's like trading cards. And they say, "Well, we're from Guangzhou." "Oh, where?" "Oh, on this street." "Oh, yeah. Did you go to the restaurant?" "Oh, yeah, that was great, dim sum." But actually, you know what? The mother is about to retire, so are you coming soon? I can get you in, last table. But and this is
when the cooking's good, exactly.
And when the cooking is good. But that's why, again, Len's ride list is we just stepped on the floor, but there are days of events going on, and not just the show floor. There are also educational events. There are events off-site.
Yeah.
There are previews and demonstrations. There's an entire theme park in the parking lot behind
There's
us.
the world's greatest amusement park set up for 5 days in the convention center of Orange
and
County.
Jim, you were telling the story where people would drive in irritated because they couldn't ride. Tell that story.
Again, you have to understand the beeline runs right by the convention center.
You can see it.
And that's the thing. People would drive in from the airport and see this amazing carnival set up, lit up, and everything's going. And they drive off, and I'm here. Here's my money. And it's like, no, I'm sorry.
You can't get in,
It's for the grouchy old white guys, who...
Well, you mentioned that. It's funny because I was walking in and they have one of those like 3-story inflatable slides out front, and it's nothing but men in suits bouncing down. So if you're a tourist and you're walking in, you're like, not only can I not get into this amusement park, but I don't match the dress code.
I did not get that memo.
Did you bring loafers for this? I didn't bring loafers. Yeah, it's bizarre. The other thing I love is Jim Hill and I got to the floor a little bit before Jim Shull, and immediately we see someone we know, and they're like, "Have you tried the pickle-flavored cotton candy?" I'm like, those words aren't supposed to go together. They're all foods, right? It's in the same universe of linguistics, but those words don't go together. So now we got to go find the
I guess so.
Pickle flavored.
One thing, and again, this is a forward-facing statement, and actually links to a recent Disney dish that Len and I did, where you discovered the information about the Universal.
Oh, the request for qualifications, the RFQ, yeah.
Yes, and we just happened to drop by the Doppelmayr booths, and Doppelmayr is the company that did the Skyliner.
They did indeed.
And what was so funny was Len chatting with a certain individual at Doppelmayr.
I walked up and I'm like, I'm a nobody, but I need to tell you this because I really think you guys should do this. And the person was like, tell me about this again. Where is this? What is it? What's the URL?
So I'm just saying, in 5 and 6 years, if you have a wonderful new transportation system that you're using to get across, the Universal campus, you have one Len Testa.
I pitched the idea to Doppelmayer's after that. I pitched the idea to 2 people there. I'm like, you guys should see this. And I was like, Universal has a special governance district. You know how Florida works with Reedy Creek and stuff like that. They just put out an RFQ. It's a 25-year commitment. You guys, I was like, I told Jim as soon as this came out, like, you guys should bid on this. So see what happens. That's me. I put people together.
But the funny thing is, the conversation's concluding, and that he thanks us. By the way, walk around and look at the art on the back. And it's like, the art on the back of the booth is the Hogwarts Express. They have a relationship, at Universal. So it's like,
But it's also funny. It's always so fascinating. You go to the booth and you have those conversations in the booth, in the open air, where all of civilization marching by you. But then there's the second level of conversations. Yeah, where it's like, come with me, and we open up the secret door, and then suddenly you're saying, this carpet is nicer and more plush, and the lighting is better. And then you get to the thing of, you're really serious. Let's go up the staircase to the balcony, and there's food up there. And maybe what did you say? The garlic flavored pickle
flavored cotton candy.
Oh yeah, that's where they got it, no doubt.
Yeah, it's fascinating. All right, folks, we'll be back in a minute with another segment.
This episode is brought to you by Disney. This Wednesday, Judy Hopps and Nick Wilde are back on the big screen. So grab your family and friends as Disney invites you to return to Zootopia for the phenomenal movie event of the holiday season. See all your favorite Zootopia characters, plus new favorites in the most pawsome movie of the year. Don't miss Disney Zootopia 2 when it hits theaters everywhere Wednesday. Get your tickets now.
As a contractor, I don't pay for materials I don't use. So why would I pay for stuff I don't need in my mobile plan? That's why my Biz plan from Verizon Business is so perfect. Now I can choose exactly what I want, and I only pay for what I need.
Right now, with my Biz plan, get our best price, as low as $25 a line. Visit Verizon.com/business to get started today. New lines only. Price per month with 5+ lines. Includes auto pay and paper-free billing and promotional discount. Taxes, fees, economic adjustment charge. Applicable add-ons, prices, and terms apply. Guarantee applies to base monthly rate and stated discounts only. Add-on prices additional. Offers in January 5th, 2026.
This episode is brought to you by McAfee.
Swimsuit, passport, phone with VPN activated. VPN?
Cell phone service is going to be spotty on vacation, so we'll be using public Wi-Fi.
Sounds sketchy.
Exactly. The networks can leave your personal info, like credit card numbers, exposed to hackers.
McAfee's secure VPN lets you browse and bank safely from wherever, whenever. Learn more at McAfee.com/online protection.
And we're back for part 2 of our talk. We've now just walked the sort of part of the right part of the IAAPA floor, but again, there's just so much stuff. It's incredible to see. Jim Hill, we saw people we knew almost as soon as we left this little room.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. I mean, as Mr. Shull talks about it, that IAAPA in a lot of ways is old home week. I mean, we were, again, we're all men of a certain age, so we were going to hit the floor and hit the bathroom. And who's over by the bathrooms? But Bob Weiss. Yeah.
We're having a conference there. Our conference room. Where do you meet Bob?
Men's room by 220. Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah. And then, coming down off the escalator, and we're starting to march the floor again. And now, who do we run into but Paul Osterhout?
We literally did not get to aisle number 1 of where we were going, and we were stopped twice. Yeah, it's an astounding number of people. Yeah. And what was Paul doing here again?
He's doing what we are doing here. The one thing about IAAPA is it is kind of like a group of old American legionnaires who gather together, and so when you walk into somebody, they may have had an executive role at one point, but it comes down to, how is your son? How is your grandson? Oh, 12 now? Oh, and by the way, how about that Universal Beijing Park that you worked on?
Yeah, we learned a couple of things that we'll be able to talk about in 5 years, Jim.
In fact, for example, tell the story when you were walking by the booth with the Imagineers in it and what they were looking at.
So we were walking by a booth, and again, you can find everything at IAAPA. And this particular vendor was selling custom rock work. And they had an interesting thing that looked like, Monument Valley. They had undersea, coral, but they had dinosaurs embedded in concrete, like fossils. And in that little booth, this was like the very back of IAAPA. It's not one of the big prime floor spaces. It's like 1 or 2 units wide. They did not spend a lot of 3 Imagineers in that one little area looking for you could do fake rock work that looks like fossils, huh? That's good to know. We might have an attraction coming up that involves fossils.
We might.
Just saying. Interesting. Yeah.
But that's the other thing that's fascinating about IAAPA is, again, you have individual vendors for all aspects of theme parks. I mean, for example, we walked by a booth that sold automatic lockers. We walked by an outfit that did the uniforms for theme parks. We walked by a place that if you needed a mascot for your park, would build that outfit.
Lush, but I mean like ticketing solutions, mobile ordering solutions. If you need the world's best roller coaster ball bearings, there's a vendor here for that. Yeah.
But at the same time, I mean, this is professional. These are themed entertainment professionals, but at the same time, we got to watch things go sideways.
Oh, that was fantastic. So there was a vendor who had a large countdown clock.
They're going to do a big announcement, right?
In 10, big 9, they're going down 15 minutes, and they gather all the media there with their cameras. They're all pointing right at the stage that was on the second floor, and we're getting down to the last moment. They all stand out, and they start to talk into the mic, and the man, that poor man, he's talking, and it finally dawns on him, because everyone's looking inquisitively, with blank stares. Can anyone hear me? Tap, tap, tap. Can anyone hear me? And there's a large
no. Yeah, you can see them mouthing, "Can you hear me?" And the answer is no. It's amazing. But you know what I mean? It's live announcements. You have to expect this kind of stuff, yeah.
And, but it just, at the same time, that keep toggling back and forth between the old and the new. I mean, for example, we came across, in fact, Shull and I were standing next to it. It's the classic amusement park ride, the Rotor.
The Rotor, yeah. And what's fascinating is they have a spin on the old Rotor.
Jim Shull's here all week, folks.
Yeah.
Tip your
I
servers.
work cheap. I'm not free, but I'm cheap. They have the rotor, but they have an advertisement saying patent pending, which I nudged Jim Hill and said, how do they do that and get a patent pending on a 100-year-old ride?
100-year-old ride, yeah. You have a twist on it.
But the thing about it wasn't just a demonstration or a piece of artwork. You could actually ride it.
And that's the other thing. There are actual rides operating inside the convention center.
So remind me not to order that double chili dog after this.
Yeah, we decided to go back on the floor before we ate lunch.
There we go. But we're talking about the past, and another thing that IAAPA is lovely about is acknowledging the pioneers, the folks who, for example, as we were walking through today, there was a lovely tribute to, Wally Bogue and Betty Taylor, likewise longtime Disneyland president Jack Lindquist, but at the same time, it was all the way around the industry. For example, Rich Kinzel, which of course anybody who knows the Cedar Fair parks, but even Oriental Land Company execs, got the nod at this.
No, it's an international thing. Yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah, so the Walk of Fame is a really good place to come to get an education about the theme park industry and leisure activities, because they have an example of John A. Miller. And, again, this is somebody who we're talking about decades and decades ago, but there wouldn't be a theme park industry without men and women like John Miller.
But again, to pivot back to the future, one of the other things that Mr. Shull and I saw was we stopped at a booth that was the next generation of video walls.
And it's literally a wall. It is.
No, but it's like a wall. It's the technological equivalent of Legos. The guy stood there in front of us and took the wall apart and moved pieces.
It's so simple, I can do it.
Exactly. But I think you were pointing out, it's like, look at this. This replaces a screen. This replaces a projector.
No, you don't need any of that. But also, it's gotten to the point where it becomes a commodity. Yeah. Years ago, the first TV big screen I had was many thousands of dollars, because that's what you had. The first VHS recorder I owned, I had to buy in New York City and bring it on the plane back to Los Angeles, because I couldn't get one of those here at that point. But here, these panelized systems were 15 pounds a piece.
Right.
And they just snap apart.
And they're an inch thick. The other thing that would amaze me about the panels is they don't generate the same kind of heat that the old panels used to. Because remember, if you were to stand in front of an old panel system, you would have to turn yourself every 5 minutes and baste yourself with butter. Yes. Because you're basically standing in front of a rotisserie, right? But now, with the new technology, it's quiet, which means you can put more people in a room, which is really interesting.
But they're also seamless. You were pointing out as we were leaving that these 15-pound panels all do connect. Yeah. But that means they're panels, separate panels. But once they're lit, you cannot tell. And everything, all the media runs off a program on a laptop. So big game changer. It also means that smaller parks, that this technology before was untouchable, now they can have
you built it once and that was it. Now you can replace things. Yeah, it's fantastic to see.
And, I forgive the ego stroking here. The other thing that's been kind of nice is to run into the folks who enjoy the podcast. And among those was Jacob Trevino, who, works the mocktail side of the street. And was nice enough to come up and say hello. But
he's doing actually 2 talks at IAAPA, so that's always nice to see. Yeah, giving back to the community.
But at the same time, he shared some info about the Warner Brothers London, the Harry Potter experience.
And this isn't the one in Bedford. This is the one that already exists.
That's it, exactly. But the notion of, think about, Len has talked recently on about his visit to Epic Universe and how the latest butterbeer product that got introduced.
Butterbeer crepes, which are amazing. I think it's the best iteration of butterbeer.
Does butterbeer come in vintages? Are there casks?
You remember the 2018? It was just fantastic. Yeah.
Jacob was talking about how the London attraction is moving it to the next level, because they're offering butterbeer flights.
Right. Where were the options?
I want to say it was a butterbeer beverage. Yeah. It was a butterbeer cookie, and then butterbeer ice cream.
Ice cream, right.
So, and then, a fast pass to the diabetic treatment center.
But what I love about that is we were talking about, with Jacob about how do you make non-alcoholic drinks interesting enough for guests to pay $18 to $20 each for them, for basically what is juice and ice, right? And the thing that Jacob had pointed out, in giving this as an example was, you talk about, you change texture and temperature, and you make each one of them different. And I thought that was brilliant. That was a really smart observation.
And it was just, the irony is, just yesterday we were in the new Pirate Lounge, the mocktail that
I don't know that we need to say more than that right now,
No,
because
no,
there's
we'll
stuff that
just
we
leave
can't.
it there. Okay.
In 5 years, you'll hear a great story, folks.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah, but Beacon Barrel was great, and so the thing I pointed out was they had one mocktail, and it was fine for what it was. It was a cookies and cream with a coconut milk base, which was great. But what I said was, what if I wanted something tart instead of sweet? And then the conversation. We'll finish this up in the year 2030.
There we go. Okay.
But it's one of the things I find fascinating, the trend lines, where people have the expectation for better food, better drink, more, greater, different, unique experiences, personalized experiences.
That's the other trend we're seeing here, personalization.
Yeah, I don't want what everyone gets. I want what I want. And there's no reason with the technologies now advancing so quickly, making it more applicable to smaller regional parks and venues like sporting events and such, where you can do this now. You can actually make something for me.
We were talking to a vendor, and I won't mention the vendor's name, but they were interested in personalization in that sort of way. So like you walk into a sporting event, and if you're using the right vendor, the vendor can say, oh, I know Jim, he likes a Diet Coke and a hot dog when he comes to these kinds of events. And how do you do it, but without facial recognition, which the United States isn't ready for, right? How do you do it without asking people to turn on cell phone tracking? How do you do that sort of thing where you do the personalization, but it's not creepy? Yeah, that was really interesting. And there's a couple of companies that are working on that. I think we're still a few years away from it.
We're a few years away, but it may come sooner than we think, because I noticed when I left Los Angeles International Airport, they were using facial recognition, which heretofore I was used to it when I would travel in China, but I hadn't seen it in Los Angeles or the United States, but here it is.
Very sad. Same thing at Manchester. In fact, and the thing is, the TSA agent had been doing it for so long that it was like, Rube, stand in front of the your face, put your face, really? I put my face there.
Yeah, I mean, I love Clear, I love global entry, but that's the sort of thing that we would see. And again, the United States has to get around a lot of that stuff, and there's a limit to even how much personalization I would want in exchange for my facial recognition stuff. That's a little bit creepy.
Well, and when the parks collect your data, how secure is that data? What are they using?
Yeah, what are you going to do with it? Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah.
But that sort of bring things full circle. Here we are in Orlando, and one of the things we got to see just on the floor here was the big new ride for SeaWorld Orlando.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that looked really good. That's a hanging coaster. Yeah.
You were mentioning Peter Pan.
Yes, they've announced today, and the first day of IAAPA is always fantastic because all the vendors, with the support of the parks, lift the veil on their new rides. And we've seen several of them here. There was one for Dollywood, which is a water coaster.
Yeah, that looks really good. We talked about that in the first segment. Yeah, that looks really interesting.
It'll be the first installation in the United States, the second one in the world. The first one was in France in Futuroscope. This one is going to be in Dollywood in completely enclosed show building. And it's about 1,200 an hour, we estimate its capacity.
That's really good for Dollywood. Yeah.
For Dollywood, it's a home run.
But again, just to bring things full circle, I mean, it just, this is the only event in the world where you're walking down the aisle and you can turn casually to somebody and say, you saw the dinosaur, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Because a head will suddenly rise up over a booth, and it's like, okay, yeah.
Have you tried the stuffed pizza while you're doing that? Because that's fantastic. All right, folks, we're going to continue on with another segment after this, but this will do it for now. Thank you guys for listening. We'll be right back.
The who's down in Who Newville were making their list, but some didn't know Walmart has the best brands for their gifts.
What about toys? Do they have brands kids have been wanting all year?
Yep, Barbie, Tony's, and Lego. Gifts that will make them all cheer.
Do you mean they have all the brands I adore?
They have Nintendo, Nespresso, Apple, and more.
What about...
So the Who answered questions from friends till they were blue. Each one listened and shouted, from Walmart? Who knew? Shop gifts from top brands for everyone on your list in the Walmart app.
Oh, Hilton stay, your beds are soft and cozy. No lumpy couch, no stiff futon, no shower line at crack of dawn. Oh, Hilton stay, oh, Hilton stay.
When you want holiday comfort you can count on, it matters where you stay. Enjoy comfortable rooms and friendly service when you stay with Hilton instead. Save up to 25% this season when you book with Hilton. Hilton for the stay. Terms apply.
I had that dream again. My small business needs to hire, but I don't use LinkedIn and I hire wrong. So our orders get all backed up. We're drowning in paperwork, then actually drowning, careless fighting off sharks with a stapler, and pirates are pillaging the office copier, and then I wake up.
Don't let hiring nightmares ruin your dreams. LinkedIn Jobs' new AI assistant goes beyond the resume, using unique insights to deliver a smarter shortlist. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/quality. Start hiring today with LinkedIn.
So we're back for the third segment of our IAAPA visit, and Jim and I were just joking that we've been on the floor for approximately 7 hours and have seen roughly 1/10 of everything we could possibly see.
That's it exactly. In fact, we stopped for lunch at the Southside Cafe, which overlooked the floor, and it was almost daunting to realize how little of what we've seen so far.
Yeah, did you see the curve of the Earth? I swore I saw the curve of the Earth.
It had to be like Columbus or Cortez on the top of their ship going like terra incognita. I don't know what any of this is. Yeah.
No, what really inspiring is how many vendors make their long trip to come here, because we talk to people from all corners of the world. I mean, my favorite one, I think, was this little couple from China, and they were sitting in what do you say, is a minimalist?
This was minimalist. I mean, it was basically a card table,
Yes, and the name of their company was behind them, and all the walls were blue drape, and they were sitting there. No brochures, no tchotchkes, no anything.
What did they sell?
We have no idea, but they're from.
But they were there.
But they were from there.
They were from there. Yeah, tons of vendors from Asia, mostly.
Maybe you know what, Len? I think they were selling blue drapes.
It's blue drape. Maybe that's it. Yeah.
Why did we not put that together? All right.
There's a vendor here for everything. We joked about that earlier. Yeah, but one of the things that amazed me was the sheer number of vendors from Asia who are here doing not only smaller items like claw games, the kinds you see in arcades and stuff like that, but virtual reality games, but all the way up to like the entire ride systems, like water-based ride systems. They're fantastic. Yeah.
But again, this is what's truly fascinating about IAAPA is its, components, compartmentalization. In fact, when we were walking out of the hall just now, Len noticed, for example, coin counting machines.
Coin counting, all different kinds of coin. Also, did you notice they were stationed next to the industrial strength locks, padlocks? It's a complementary business here. You need one, you need the other.
Well, I saw one booth that had a machine that they sold that shredded tickets.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah, and all it did is shred. Yeah. So like if you're Chuck E. Cheese and you need to make sure that the tickets aren't resold or reused, what, we'll just...
And that's the thing about IAAPA, again, there's always a need for some product as niche as it might be. And if you come with that in mind, this is a place to get it. It's really a supermarket. It's a Costco of fun.
It really is. It's funny to mention that because as we walked back, we were joking, like, can we pick up an animatronic dinosaur? And sure enough, we actually found a company that is literally called Only Dinosaurs. I'm like, hey, do you happen to have any elephants? No, only dinosaurs.
Only dinosaurs. Be specialized.
Would you happen to have crocodile? No, only dinosaurs. Yeah. So it's Only Dinosaurs.
Well, but what was interesting is just across from Only Dinosaurs Inc. Was this outfit that they specialized in lit up trees. And Len, you were chatting with them about did they primarily Vegas? Is that
Vegas? And I was like, well, who would want? So imagine like a maple tree, right? But and interspersed with the leaves of the tree are LEDs in all kinds of colors. You can get monochromatic white, you can get gold, you can get Christmas tree and multicolored. And I was like, I didn't see the Vegas part of it first, but I was like, who does this and where? And he's like, oh, we're all over Vegas, and he's basically up and down both sides of the strip. And so my next question was, all around like the longevity. How long does an artificial tree last in Vegas where, the street temperature's got to be 140 degrees, right? And they said the LEDs are engineered to last 150,000 hours.
Woof.
Yeah, and the tree itself is made out of fiberglass and steel, so it's not going anywhere. I don't know that I would necessarily want to touch that, but they've been there for 15 years, and apparently, so these things are super, super reliable.
Before they fail, the hotel owner will decide to do a remodel.
Exactly. But that, it was fascinating to see that. And it looked very colorful. I mean, those guys were very, very attractive. They had a very attractive presentation.
They were. And speaking of very, very colorful, I mean, we were, again, anybody who ever goes to IAAPA jokes about the fact, well, don't forget to get your dipping dots. But this year, it's just sort of like, oh my God, there's a new product, because, they're clearly, dipping dots, maybe it becomes somewhat passe, but we literally passed the booth on the floor that was selling big sorbet balls.
Yeah, and the line was so long, we didn't actually get in the line.
That's right. We missed out on our big sorbet balls.
BigSorbetballs.com. Yes.
I don't know. What was your favorite part today, Mr. Shull? I mean, you and I at one point, sat down and, we duked it out playing Cyberpunk Turf Wars.
Which I love that idea because it was a mix of real pellets that we were shooting.
Right, real plastic pellets, about 3/8 of an inch in diameter. Yeah.
And Len, you talked to one of the booth operators, and he had a pellet, an actual pellet. And I don't know, I'm older than dirt, so I remember the old Disneyland Sheen arcade
with lead pellets. Yeah,
and lead pellets, and what goes around comes around. Pellets are making a comeback. Invest in pellets today. Plastics, their future is plastic.
The future's plastic. So you guys were playing the game, and I was talking to the operator, and the vendor, and I was like, how often do you have to replace the pellets? And he's like, they're basically indestructible. They're one piece molded, but they're bouncing against a screen. So you figure eventually, it's being shot out of an air gun. It's hitting against a screen. Eventually, that's going to go, result in wear and tear. And they're like, no, it doesn't.
No.
Each game lasts between 30 and 60 seconds. It's configurable. And so they had a $2 price point per game. But my question for Shull was, if you're a major theme park operator like a Disney or Universal, and you have an idea for something like this, what are the things that you need to keep in mind from an operational perspective when you're looking to buy something like this, right? Besides the longevity of the pellets and the fact that they could probably be sprayed anywhere, what do you look at here for, like, okay, we can actually put this in a park and make it work long term?
Well, one of the things you'd want to do is think about the noise, because when our little pellets,
it was loud.
When the pellets bounced off the target, they made a distinct ping sound.
Yeah.
And in IAAPA, where it's already, I think I've lost my hearing a long time ago, because the noise level, that's acceptable. Whereas in a Disney park or Universal park or in a Six Flags park, that might not be acceptable.
Right.
So you'd have
to be in a very specialized environment.
But having said that, I played that, but then after that, there was a very charming woman who offered me an opportunity to play a VR game. And so I put a set of goggles on.
But the goggles were not standard VR goggles. They didn't strap to your head. You had to hold it with your hands.
Yeah, it was kind of an interesting take on what was advertised as VR. I would say it's 3D stereoscopic. That had a virtual reality that you are within. So they mapped the entire world. But having played both games, one that used a physical pellet that made a distinct ping sound versus a virtual world, I'd have to say the old school is the best school on this.
Sometimes tactile works. The thing that was interesting about the second VR game that you played, it was a VR goggle, but you had to hold it with two hands. And so the obvious question is how do you shoot something when both of your hands are occupied holding up the VR goggle? And what they had done is they had actually embedded little triggers right below the eyepieces of the goggle. So you were flicking basically your cheeks.
Oh, yes.
The triggers were at cheek level, and that's how you manipulated the game controls.
Which is interesting, because I found that a little annoying at one point, and finally I said, okay, I've had enough. I get this.
You played for a while, yeah.
And I played for a while, and I kept thinking, okay, we're going to come to the end of the game. We did not come to the end of the game, and my cheeks were sore. So I put the goggles down. But that's, again, part of the reason you come to IAAPA is not just to see things at work that you can buy and use today, but things that maybe you've been thinking about, and then you come and you see a demo from someone else.
Right.
And you go, well.
I've seen this in person now, and it's not for me. It's like test driving a car. Like, That's amazing, yeah.
The other thing when you again, it was, what do you need for your park? I mean, for example, like you ducked into the booth Illumin for the drone show.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And, when you think about what's going on, in how many parks now, are doing the drone shows, and, here's an outfit that's perfectly happy to set you up with a fleet of drones.
Yeah, I just give them my credit card, they'd swipe it, and I could have a crate of drones delivered to my home.
There we go. Tracy would love that.
Yes.
Those drones were multicolored. The drones were multicolored, but the other interesting thing for me was those were small drones. They're not as... So the battery life, the battery technology must have really improved over the last 5 or 6 years.
And they were also purpose designed. We had a long talk about that. Is the body of it was the light, and then they had the propellers, and then the battery. But they sized the battery for the show life.
Oh,
it wasn't like you're trying to do it for a long time. It's okay. We're going to give you a margin. Your show is 20 minutes. We'll give you a margin of another 10, 15.
To get them launched, do the show.
But that means you can start to shrink it down.
Right. So purpose-built battery packs. That's one way around it. Yeah. I don't think anyone's going to do a 20-minute drone show, but the takeoff to assemble, to get everything in the right configuration, that's probably a good five or 6 minutes right there. And then you got to do the same thing in reverse on the way back. So yeah, if you have a 20-minute battery, you basically have 7 minutes of show. Okay, that's fair.
Before we close up shop here, we should acknowledge that as we've been coming and going from the hall all day, we have been using one specific entrance, which is the Mattel-sponsored entrance.
Right, and we're trying to figure out Mattel. Because there's a Polly Pockets thing there.
Yeah.
There's a whole bunch of stuff down there.
Barbie and Hot
Wheels.
And
we're like, well, where's the booth?
But it's there to acknowledge the 80th anniversary of the launch of the Mattel company. And again, you go down the escalator and there are all sorts of inflatables. And I mean, Len, you noticed on at least one trip, it's like, why am I smelling sunscreen?
Yeah, it's like Barbie's beach house or something down there. It is the distinct scent of copper tone. Like you get to the escalators and you're like, am I having a stroke or is this what it's smelling here? Yeah.
But to sort of put a button on this, remember the three of us are adults who have children, and they have a soundscape for this thing. And you're coming down the escalator into the Mattel world, and you hear the shrieks of happy children, and the three adult males here are like, where's the child being hurt?
Yes,
exactly. Indeed. Like the shriek of a small child is a triggering action for any parent, right?
No,
like
that's
it's like,
exactly.
Okay, something's going wrong here. You can actually hear it in the background as we're recording. Did you hear that one?
Yeah.
And you're like, what is going on? And that mixed with the sunscreen, as you're going down the escalator, you're like, what am I getting myself into here? Like, what is this? It's amazing, but super fun. And it's a great little tribute. It's really nice.
And very memorable. We won't forget this experience.
No,
yeah. I love coming here just for the possibilities of stuff.
It is fascinating to be here and get that little peek over the horizon. Yeah. I mean, and I think we were talking earlier about the Dolly Parton, the boat system there.
Yeah, that looks super interesting. I can see that going other places. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe here in Orlando.
I can't believe we couldn't find the pickle flavored candy, cotton candy.
That we may have dodged a bullet there.
Yes.
Anyway, folks, thanks for listening to us as we've walked through 3 different sections of IAAPA. We are produced fabulously by David Gray and Eric Hersey. I'm sure one day we will get to come here and try their own version of, what is it? Big ball sorbet? Big sorbet ball?
Big sorbet balls.
Isn't that what Cinderella went to? The big sorbet balls?
Yes. That's the cleanest joke we can do.
That's the cleanest joke you can do around that.
Let's quit while we're ahead, okay?
All right, folks. Thank you for listening to the show. Jim and Jim, thanks for being on the show. Tomorrow we're headed to Hollywood Studios, right?
That we are.
All right. We'll see you guys then. Take care.